Right, problems you're going to face if you go into liquidation. Now, first of all, this video is not to scare you, okay? In most circumstances, if your business has become insolvent, you've got no hope of recovery, the best option for you and your business, and more importantly, your creditors, is going to be to put it into voluntary liquidation. But having said that, there's certain things that you need to be mindful of so you don't catch a cold down the road. Now, let's start. I have got some notes on this because it's a very, very important topic. Right. One of the problems that you may face in going into liquidation is something called an overdrawn director's loan account. If you've not seen my videos on this before, you're not watching the channel enough, but there are other videos specifically on director's loans and when they become overdrawn. But I'm just going to touch on what it is now. When you appoint an insolvency practitioner, they're going to look to see if you owe the company any money. And if you do owe the company money, they're going to ask you to repay it. Now, it happens quite commonly where a director has no idea about an overdrawn director's loan. It never gets mentioned pre-appointment, naughty, naughty. And then 3 weeks after they've appointed a liquidator, they think all the problems have gone away and they get a letter demanding that they pay that overdrawn director's loan back. The loan, if you owe the company money, it's an asset of the company, and the insolvency practitioner is just doing their job trying to recover funds to pay it back to creditors. Now, the important thing is you need to understand if you have one or not. So where can you find out whether you got an overdrawn director's loan? You can check in your last set of full accounts. There'll be a section, it might be in debtors or it might be in assets, and it might say director's current account. And the company might owe you money. Sadly, in a liquidation, if it does, it's highly likely you won't get anything. But if you owe that company money, that could cause you a problem in liquidation. Now, if your accounts are quite out of date, which they normally are, you might want to speak to your accountant and ask them what's the state of play when it comes to your director's loan account. And it's always best, if you can do, is to get a final set of accounts. So before you go into liquidation, you know exactly where you stand with your director's loan. Listen, if it's overdrawn, lots and lots of directors have got overdrawn loan accounts at the moment. And you will be able to get some type of deal done. You'll either get time to pay it back, or you'll be able to pay a reduced amount. And it's all dependent on case to case. You've got to speak to your insolvency practitioner about this. But whatever you do, don't just go, oh, I'll deal with it down the line. You have a better chance of getting a better deal done for you on your overdrawn director's loan if you do it before you appoint the insolvency practitioner. Okay, whatever you do, if someone says to you, we'll deal with that down the line, you need to stop them and have that uncomfortable conversation and go, no, I need to deal with this today. So that's number one, overdrawn director's loan accounts. Number two, being accused of wrongful trading. Now, what happens is, when a business becomes insolvent, I'm just going to outline what this means. You can't afford to pay your business debts when they fall due, and your liabilities are more than your assets. So that's a sign that your business is insolvent. Now, the consequences of being found guilty of wrongful trading can be quite serious. Now, what it means is once you become insolvent, your duties as a director change. You're not there to get the best outcome for shareholders anymore. You're there to make sure that your creditors' positions are not made any worse. And the easiest way to not be accused of wrongful trading by an insolvency practitioner is the minute that you find that you are in a bit of a pickle financially, you get in touch with an insolvency practitioner as soon as you possibly can do. And the earlier that you take advice, the more options that you've got available. But I'm just going to give you some examples of wrongful trading. Number one, building up large HMRC arrears without any prospect of paying it back. Continuing to trade while you are insolvent. Okay, if you know there's no hope of recovery, you've got to take advice early. 3, knowingly taking credit from suppliers, again with no prospect of paying them back. And here's a big one. Whatever you do, don't be taking deposits off customers. if you've got no hope of finishing that job or providing the service. And that's where you're sort of venturing into fraudulent trading, which is even more serious. Also, not keeping up-to-date records and getting your returns in on time to HMRC is wrongful trading. And sort of repaying your director's loan before you pay anybody else. That's also classed as wrongful trading. Another thing that's going to cause you a problem if you go into liquidation is bounce back loan fraud. Okay, so there were 1.5 million bounce back loans given out to businesses of all sizes and shapes in the UK. What is bounce back loan fraud? Well, you took too much. You could only take 25% of your turnover in 2019. You could only estimate your turnover if you was incorporated after the 1st of January 2019. So that's bounce back loan fraud. Bounce back loan fraud equally is spending all the money personally. Now, it's a bit of a grey area here, but let me tell you, if your money, you had to declare that you was going to spend the money on the benefit of the business that took it. So what that means is you could pay things like your bills, your business bills, your salaries, legacy debts. You could invest in the company, use it as working capital. You couldn't get your bounce back loan in on the Monday and take it out to your personal account on the Tuesday. Equally, if you sent it to your missus's account or your long lost cousin's account, that's also going to look very, very suspect. And again, an insolvency practitioner is there to look at where there are any inappropriate behaviour. So remember, bounce back loan fraud, very, very hot topic now for insolvency practitioners, and a very, very hot topic for the insolvency service also. Again, if you think you could be accused of bounce back loan fraud, it's really important that you seek advice early, you know, so you can get a second opinion and go, right, actually, that is your problem. Well, the sooner you get advice, the more options you've got available. I've done some more notes here. Another thing that you could be accused of is a preference payment. Now, preference payments is when you become insolvent, okay, remember you can't make your creditors' positions any worse. But if you decide to pay one creditor over another creditor, let's say, for example, you've got something personally guaranteed and you pay off the personally guaranteed creditor at the detriment of your suppliers and the HMRC, that could be classed as a preference payments by the insolvency service, and it could be set aside. And if it gets set aside, you could be made personally liable for that payment that you made. So the things that you need to be careful of: overdrawn directors' loan accounts. If you've got one, what is it, and how is it going to be dealt in the liquidation by the insolvency practitioner? 2, wrongful trading. Really, really important. As soon as you see that your business is in trouble, take professional advice to minimise the chance that you're going to be accused of wrongful trading. 3, bounce back loan fraud. Listen, we've all heard about the guy down the pub who took 10 bounce back loans out and he bought a plane with it. I mean, I've not heard that story, but I've heard some ones that really will shock you. If you think you're going to be accused of bounce back loan fraud, please, please, please don't bury your head in the sand. Take advice. Number 4, preference payments, where you basically prefer to pay someone else at the detriment of the rest of your creditors. All these 4 points can land you in serious trouble after the fact once you go into liquidation. It's really important that you go through each one of them individually before you make any appointments. I hope you found this video useful. It's been a bit of a longer one. Drop some comments in the section below. Remember, if you enjoy what we do here, please subscribe. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.